Hello, happy Cyber Monday, and welcome to One Cool Thing, PC Mag's daily show where we tell you about one cool thing that we've been testing here in PC Labs. If you're watching this on Facebook Live, thanks very much for joining. If you're watching this later on YouTube, definitely subscribe to our channel, ask us any questions that you might have when we do One Cool Thing the next day. I'm Tom Brandt, this is Sasha Segan, and today for you we have got the next bit, the Razer phone.
Yeah, should we start by explaining the next bit thing? Like the heritage of the Razer phone? Okay, so Razer, as you may know, is a company that makes gaming laptops. And they make really good gaming laptops. And we love their gaming laptops, right?
Yeah, Razer has really set the bar very high in terms of not only gaming laptops perform well, but that look good.
Right, and they make mice.
Yep.
And they make
keyboards,
headsets, anything that has to do with gaming.
Yes, exactly.
And so Razer thought, basically a little while ago, they looked at some countries around the world, and they said there are places where people are not primarily gaming on their laptops. They are gaming on phones. And so they went ahead and they bought this phone startup called NextBit, which was made of ex-HTC employees primarily.
Right. And they did this about a year and a half ago?
Yeah, they did this about a year and a half ago. NextBit had this really nice little phone called the Robin, which was kind of a cult hit. A lot of people liked it, but it didn't hit really big. But then Razer bought NextBit, and the result is the Razer phone, which looks a lot like the NextBit Robin.
Hence my confusion initially.
Exactly, but has, hey, here's your Razer logo. Razer devices always have the Razer logo.
Yep.
But it has a lot of unique features designed specifically for gaming.
As it should. So
Yes.
what are some of those features? And by the way, we'll take your questions as well. If you're watching us on Facebook, we'd be happy to show off any features and questions that you have.
So this is the first, and we'll show off some games in a minute. This is the first phone with a 120 hertz screen. And it is really only the second device that I've seen with a 120 hertz screen in that the iPad Pros have 120 hertz screens.
Right.
But this is definitely the first phone with a 120 hertz screen. They have had to do some really deep edits to Android to support that. Not all games support it. And what it enables you to do is it enables you to get frame rates that are higher than 60, because almost all phones are locked to a frame rate of 60.
Right. Same with TVs too. It's
exactly.
To TVs,
It lets you get frame rates that are higher than 60, and it really smooths scrolling, which is something that happens on the iPads too, in terms of the 120 hertz screen.
Oh, and now are we talking about reducing jaggedness and blurriness, or how does it help when you're not in the game? How does it help your overall navigation?
Yeah, it does. See, I'm scrolling right here on the other device, and it does reduce blurriness. It reduces sort of fuzziness and tearing of words and images as you're scrolling on the 120 hertz screen. But by and large, I mean, what they are most interested in, of course, is its uses for gaming.
Sure.
But as we'll get to why that isn't all it's necessarily chalked up to be. Looks like we have a question already, though.
Will it be on the Verizon network?
No. So one of the big minuses for this phone is that this is an unlocked phone that is compatible only with AT&T and T-Mobile. And now, I don't want to talk about CDMA and GSM anymore because it's less relevant. Verizon now has phones which don't have CDMA in them.
Right.
But Razer has said that this phone will only be compatible and is only physically compatible with the AT&T and T-Mobile networks. So it's the price, it's $699 unlocked.
Relatively inexpensive for a high-end phone.
Yeah, and it has, I mean, we'll get into the specs here. It has high-end specs.
Yeah.
You have the Qualcomm Snapdragon 835 processor, which is as good as you can get. You have a Quad HD LCD screen. It's not OLED, it's LCD, but it's a very nice LCD screen. Could be a little brighter, but very sharp. You have that 120 hertz screen. You have amazing front-facing speakers.
These speakers are incredible. Not only how big they are when you look at them, but how big the sound that they.
You have 8 gigs of RAM, so that you can switch between games without having to reload your game state. Okay. Let me show you these front-facing speakers here.
Yeah, they are incredible.
Alto's Adventure is just enough. You know, it's a casual game, but it'll let me show off these speakers a bit. I'm turning them all the way up. Yeah, it's hard to play a game while looking in the wrong direction. Okay, all sorts of crazy things are happening here.
But yeah, so essentially this really is filling the studio with sound about what you'd get from a laptop with front-facing speakers. Many laptops that I've heard sound worse than this.
Yeah, these really are. It's the best speakers I've heard on a phone in ages.
Yeah.
Now, of course, you're going to be using the speakers a lot because you may notice no headphone jack.
Right.
This is one of those USB-C only phones. Razer tries to sell you by saying that they have a dongle that has a premium digital to audio converter in it,
Okay.
which is why there's a block at the end of the dongle.
Now, does that mean you can't use another converter, or do you have to use theirs?
The wonderful world of USB-C audio. You'll see in the review that we tried some other dongles didn't work, some other dongles did work. USB-C audio is not a standard, and you're basically going to want to use the dongle it comes with.
Or wireless headphones.
Yes.
Let's take another question.
Looks like we have another question.
Is it going to work with Google Fie?
Does this work with Google Fie? Yes and no. If you put a Google Fie SIM card into it, you will operate only on the T-Mobile network. It will be as if it is just a T-Mobile MVNO. You will not be able to use the cross-network capability of using T-Mobile Sprint and US Cellular, which is one of Google Fie's strengths.
Yeah.
So there's that.
But then again, you are really buying this phone for the gaming capabilities.
Yeah,
at least,
yeah.
Razer wants you to do that. So cellular performance may be kind of a secondary.
Now, let me show you, and the modem is not the greatest, okay? This lacks a feature called 4x4 MIMO, which I'm really recommending, which puts 4 antennas in a phone to increase speeds and signal strength. This doesn't have it. A lot of other top-end phones don't have it. The iPhones don't have it, so it's not that everybody has it, but I do like to see it. I want to show you a setting screen here that is very, very unique. And this is the Razer Game Booster, and this is so Razer. What this lets you do is it lets you alter the settings for the phone game by game, so that you can change the CPU speed by game, which honestly
Now,
I've
by
not seen
change the
any
speed,
difference. I've not seen any difference in doing that.
I was going to say that sounds a bit, reminiscent of overclocking. But you're not going to be doing a whole lot of that on the phone.
So you can't overclock a phone, but
No.
you cannot underclock a phone. The firmware on phones to optimize for battery life tries to turn down the clock speed as often as possible. And so what this does is while you're playing your game, it forces the clock speed up.
Okay.
Now, any well-programmed game, however, should do that on its own.
Right.
So I think that's a little bogus, but the important part here is that you can change the screen resolution and the screen frame rate by game. And what that means is that if you are going to a game where you want really high frame rates, you can kick the screen resolution down to 720p. And then you can kick the frame rates up to 100 plus.
Right.
And then you can have that really smooth, if slightly not terribly high-res experience that you would have on a laptop in the same situation.
And actually, yeah, those higher frame rates, that trade-off will be familiar to people who are PC gamers who optimize for frame rates and are willing to sacrifice a bit on quality.
And now I have to say, even without playing with the frame rates, one thing I have noticed is, especially in driving type games, such as, I'm going to call it Breakneck here. Okay. And let's see if I can get that to actually work. There we go. And Breakneck is not working right now. Okay, let me call up Riptide. So, especially in these driving type games, the controls on this phone are just amazing. Very sensitive.
Okay.
No lag. It's really easy to drive and move around. I found that playing driving games, the Riptide series, Need for Speed, it was definitely more responsive than even other high-end phones.
And we're talking about gyroscopically, and as well as the,
either the gyro controls or touch controls.
Right.
Absolutely. Looks like we have another question out there.
How's the battery life?
The battery life is really good. There's a gigantic battery in here. Let me check the battery capacity. It's in my review.
I believe it's 4,000
It's 4,000,
something.
I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I got more than 8 minutes of straight video playback while streaming over LTE with the screen on max brightness. I mean, more than 8 hours.
8 hours.
Sorry,
right,
8
right.
hours.
We definitely got more than 8 minutes.
Definitely more than 8 minutes. Also more than 8 hours. And that marks really good battery life for a high-end Android phone. And you can see it's not that thick. It is a little heavy. But yeah, the battery life is terrific, and that is in part because this is a gaming phone, and they really want you to pump it.
Now, is this going to be in another real-world type scenario where you're gaming on the subway or bus to work? Is it going to be able to last for your whole commute while you're playing a game
definitely.
at 120 hertz?
Definitely, definitely. Let's take another question, and then I want to get to the biggest downside of this phone.
Definitely.
Do you know if they have intention of going the way of NVIDIA Shield, where they have apps specific to this device only?
So I've talked to them about that. It doesn't sound like they're going to have games that are specific to the Razer phone. What they are going to have is games that take advantage of the Razer phone's 120 hertz capabilities. And there are already a couple of them. Let's see, I have the list here. It's Gear Club Racing, Riptide GP, Titanfall, and Warfare. And there are more coming, but these are going to be general games that anyone can download from the Google Play Store, but on the Razer phone, they will take advantage of the high frame rate screen.
And those are going to be the same, so that's just seamlessly optimized. I mean, you're gonna
Yeah.
download. If you've already bought that, you can download it on your Razer phone.
And it'll run the
will-
update,
Right.
and it'll look even better.
Yeah.
Now, let me talk about what I found to be one of the big downsides for this phone. And this is important because this is a really important feature, and it's the cameras. So now, the Razer phone has two 12-megapixel cameras,
Okay.
1x and 2x.
Off to a good start.
Off to a good start. Sounds a lot like the Samsung Galaxy Note 8, actually.
Right.
Which is, one of the best cameras out there.
And far more expensive.
Yes, and more expensive.
Yeah.
The problem is, as we found on the Essential Phone PH1, something is really screwy about the camera firmware in here. And it was consistently misjudging exposure. And this is something that Razer could, in theory, fix through firmware updates.
Okay.
But when we were reviewing it, we were finding that, for one thing, the HDR is very slow. The HDR is slow like an HDR phone from 2 years ago.
What do you mean by slow? Does it mean? Do you mean that it's slow to take the picture in HDR
Yeah, there's
mode?
a noticeable delay when you're taking a picture in HDR mode.
Okay.
But also, when we were testing, very often it would, it would judge. It would judge photos so that some areas were way too dark or some areas were way too bright. The exposure judgment was just way off, just like when we first reviewed the Essential Phone.
Okay, well, yeah, I was gonna say, basically, they've taken the next bit, engineering, and so it's possible that that's a holdover from issues that they had before.
It looks like we have another question.
Does it have any power management system?
I mean, all phones have power management systems. Not quite sure what you mean by that one. Now, I mean, there are battery settings, and you can change, the phone settings for different to optimize for battery. Absolutely.
Right.
So I'm not really sure what that question.
Well,
means.
I mean, on Windows, they're moving to the model of a scale between better performance and better battery life.
Oh, yeah.
The Android phones can do that.
Well,
as well.
actually, yeah, and let me show you in the settings here. If you go into the game booster and go into a specific game, you see you can go from more battery to higher performance.
Yeah, so it's
game
similar
by
to
game.
Windows.
Yeah,
Windows has
okay,
that
okay, okay. So the cameras, I mean, I hold out hope that they will improve the software. But
Yeah.
when we were reviewing it, the software was not great.
I mean, that sounds like it could be a growing pain issue, especially since if it really is just limited to firmware, that's easily fixable. Well, not easily fixable. It's easier fixable than waiting till the next Razer phone to come out.
So to recap, strengths and weaknesses of the Razer phone. Strengths, great battery. Terrific gaming performance. They really bring home this gaming phone idea. Amazing front-facing speakers.
Yeah, and I would add to that price because Razer in almost all other categories, Razer you're paying a premium.
And here
for a
they
Razer
are
phone.
competitive. You have a Snapdragon 835 phone, which it's $699, and you know the Galaxy S8 is $720. The Moto Z2 is $720. You know, $720, $750. So it is competitive in that way.
Now downsides.
Downsides. Not great call quality, not great modem, trouble with the camera. So you see, like, it's funny, because like all the parts that are Razer are great.
Sure.
The parts that are phone are not the best.
So great gaming machine, as a Razer should be.
Just an okay phone.
Let's take another question.
Okay.
Oh, we're good. Okay.
So the Razer phone, we rated it. I rated it 3.5 stars for that balance between, you know, great Razer, okay phone. It is out on the market now. You can read my full review at PCMag.com.
And we will be back tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. If you're still looking for more tech deals after Cyber Monday, this has been one cool thing with the Razer phone. Thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you back tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern.